Hi, today in this video we are going to see about ectopic pregnancy. See, ectopic pregnancy, abortion and hereditary for more, these three things are the causes for the bleeding in early pregnancy. Hereditary for mole or molar pregnancy already we have seen in the previous video, and today we are going to see about the second major cause of the bleeding in early pregnancy, that is ectopic pregnancy. Any pregnancy where the fertilized ovum gets implanted and develops in a site other than the normal uterine cavity, that is known as the ectopic pregnancy. See, in this picture you can see the ectopic pregnancy. Here this is the uterus, and instead of getting developed inside the uterus, the fetus is growing inside the fallopian tube. So here it is growing inside the fallopian tube. This is an example for the ectopic pregnancy. In the ectopic pregnancy, the common sites of implantation can be inside the uterus or it can be outside the uterus. Outside the uterus or extrauterine parts include fallopian tube, ovary or abdomen. That is, it can get implanted in the fallopian tube or it may get implanted in the ovary, or sometimes the fertilized ovum may get implanted in the abdominal cavity. Sometimes this ectopic pregnancy may occur inside the uterine cavity itself. Inside the uterine cavity, it may develop in the cervical part or cervical region, or it may develop in the angular region, or it may develop over the part where the previous cesarean scar is there, or it may be corneal pregnancy, or the fertilized ovum may develop inside the cornua or cornua of the uterus. And the extrauterine pregnancy, I have told you that the main site is fallopian tube, and this is the reason for the, or this is the place for the 95 to 96 percentage of the ectopic pregnancy. And in the fallopian tube itself, it can occur in the ampullary part, isthmus or interstitial or infundibular part of the fallopian tube. And 75% of the ectopic pregnancy or tubal ectopic pregnancies are occurring in the ampullary part. 25% of the tubal ectopic pregnancies are occurring in the isthmus of the fallopian tube. 18% of the tubal ectopic pregnancies are occurring in the interstitial part of the fallopian tube, and 2% of the ectopic tubal pregnancies are occurring in the infundibulum. And the ovarian means it is the fertilized ovum is getting developed inside the ovary. And next is abdominal. The fertilized ovum is developing inside the abdominal cavity. It may be a primary implantation or maybe a secondary implantation. Primary implantation means the implantation first itself it will occur in the abdominal cavity. Secondary means sometimes initially the implantation may be occurring in the fimbriae or at the end of the fallopian tube, and later it will get dislodged and come to the abdominal cavity. So this can be intraperitoneal or extraperitoneal. That is, it can occur inside the peritoneal cavity itself or it may occur outside the peritoneal cavity. So this picture shows the various sites of implantation. This is interstitial implantation, this is cervical, intramural, that is the fertilized ovum is getting developed inside the muscles of the uterus. Here it shows the abdominal pregnancy, and this, if it is somewhere here, it is ovarian pregnancy, infundibular, ampullary, and in the pregnancy is inside the ligaments, isthmic or tubal pregnancy. These are the common sites for the tubal pregnancy. Now let us see the incidence and mortality rate of tubal pregnancy. And the incidence is more high or more in the ladies, those who got the pelvic inflammatory diseases, and those who are using intrauterine contraceptive devices, and those who had undergone previous tubal surgeries, and the persons who are having the history of artificial reproductive techniques. And the rate of the incidence in India is 5.6 out of 10,000 deliveries. And it is common in the ladies also having late marriages and late childbearing. It is 2%, and in the couples also are using the artificial reproductive technology, the incidence is 5%, and the recurrence rate also will increase in the ladies also are having the previous history of uh, ectopic pregnancy. That is, if the lady is having one history of that is previous one pregnancy in that as the ectopic pregnancy, there is a chance for recurrence, 15% chance for recurrence in the subsequent pregnancy. And if the lady is having two history, already two ectopic pregnancies were there, means the lady is having 25% more chances there for the recurrence of ectopic pregnancy in the subsequent pregnancies. And the causes include any factor that cause delayed transport of the fertilized ovum through the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube favors the implantation in the tubal mucosa itself, thus giving rise to a tubal ectopic pregnancy. This causes we can divide into congenital and acquired. The congenital causes include tubal hypoplasia, tortuosity of the tube, congenital diverticulae, accessory ostia, partial stenosis of the fallopian tube, elongation of the fallopian tube, presence of intramural polyp, entrap of the ovum on its way. These are the congenital causes for the development of ectopic pregnancy. And next is acute causes, that is in the case of pelvic inflammatory diseases, especially in the case of infections with the chlamydia trachomatis, and contraceptive failure, that is if the mother was using copper T, there is a chance for 4% tubal pregnancy. If the mother is using progestat, there is a chance for 17% of tubal pregnancy. And if they are using mini pills and Norplant, in the case of mini pills, 4 to 10% chance is there, and in the case of Norplant, 30% of chance is there for the ectopic pregnancy. Another acute cause is tubal sterilization failure, and the failure depends on the technique and the age of the patient. And in the case of bipolar cauterization, the chance for ectopic pregnancy is 65%, and in the case of unipolar cauterization, the chance for ectopic pregnancy is 17%. In the case of silicone rubber band, the chance for ectopic pregnancy is 29%, and in the case of interval self-injectomy, it is 43%. And in the case of postpartum self-injectomy, it is 20%. And another chance is reversal of the sterilization, because of one or other reason. If the couples wants to do the reversal of the sterilization, they may get the ectopic pregnancy. And this chance for ectopic pregnancy also, here also it depends on the method of sterilization, the site of tubal occlusion, and the residual length of the fallopian tube. And another causes include tubal reconstructive surgeries, assisted reproductive techniques, previous ectopic history. And the risk factors include, it is the following people are at the risk of developing ectopic pregnancy, that is the ladies those who are having more than 35 to, or those who are having 35 to 45 years of age, and those who are having the previous induced abortion, previous pelvic surgeries, those who are having the history of cigarette smoking, and those who are DES exposure in utero, and those who are having infertility, and the person having salpingitis, genital tuberculosis, fundal fibroid, adenomyosis of the tube, transperitoneal migration of the ovum. In these cases, or in these ladies are having more chance. And Iffy hypothesis, that is the reflex of that is theory of reflex, that is menstrual fluid through the fertilized ovum into the tube. That is, this theory is telling that the reflex flow of the menstrual fluid will occur and it will throw the fertilized ovum into the fallopian tube. That is Iffy hypothesis. And the factors facilitating the implantation inside the fallopian tube include premature degeneration of the zona pellucida, increased decidual reaction, and tubal endometriosis. And the evolution, the tubal pregnancies rapidly invert the mucosa and feeding from the tubal vessels, which become enlarged and enclosed. That is, the fertilized ovum will get enlarged, and the segment of the affected tube will get distended as the pregnancy grows. Possible outcomes of abnormal gestation are as follows. And once if the fertilized ovum is developing inside the uterus, it may end in a tubal abortion, or it may get resorbed, or it may produce the rupture of the tube. Sometimes it may get aborted, and it may get excreted, or it may come out through the uterus, or sometimes it may get expelled into the abdominal cavity and it may start to grow over there. Sometimes the fertilized ovum, the developing ovum will die and it will get absorbed or reabsorbed over there itself. Sometimes it will grow inside the fallopian tube itself and it will rupture. It will produce a rupture of the fallopian tube, and this is the most common outcome. Tubal rupture is the most common outcome of the tubal pregnancy. And if the fertilization is in the isthmic part of the fallopian tube, the rupture will occur between 6 to 8 weeks. And if it is in the ambulatory part, it will occur between 8 to 12 weeks. And if it is in the interstitial part, it may grow up to 4th month. And abortion is common in ambulatory pregnancies, whereas rupture is common in the isthmic pregnancies. Here you can see the picture of tubal ruptured ectopic pregnancy, and this picture shows the tubal abortion. And diagnosis can be done by history, detailed examination, and otherwise in the history we should take the past history of pelvic inflammatory diseases, tubal history, current contraceptive measures, whether they are using copper T or intrauterine copper devices, that should be asked, and wide spectrum clinical examination for symptomatic patient should be done. And acute ectopic pregnancy symptoms are pain will be there, and most consistent feature this is the most common feature in 90%, 95% of the cases, and variabilities and severity will be differing from person to person, and amenorrhea will be there. It will be there for 60 to 80% of the patients, and there may be delayed period or slight spotting may be there in some cases, and vaginal bleeding will be there, that will be scanty dark brown, and the lady will be having nausea, vomiting, fainting attack, syncope, and this is due to the reflex of vasomotor disturbances, and abdominal pain also will be there, and sometimes the lady will be having shoulder pain also, shoulder pin pain also will be there. And if you are doing the general examination, you can see the person will become restless. These features you can see commonly when the fertilized ovum is ruptured in the fallopian tube. That is, once if the fallopian tube is ruptured, you can see these features. Agony will be there, the skin will look blanched, pale, sweating will be there, and skin will be cold and clammy in nature. Features of shock, tachycardia, and hypotension also will be there. And abdomen, if you are examining, abdomen will be tense, tender, and mostly the lower portion of the abdomen will be tender in nature, and a shifting redness will be there, and rigidity also will be there. And if you are doing the Purvagent examination, uterus will be bulky, and it will be deviated to the opposite side. The fornixes will be tender, and excitation pain on moving of the cervixes also will be there. The symptoms include, the symptoms that will help for you to diagnose ectopic pregnancy include the lady who had a previous history of a previous attack of acute pain. Sometimes she might have recovered from that pain, and those are having amenorrhea, vaginal bleeding with a dull pain in the abdomen, with the bladder and bowel complaints like dysuria, frequency or retention of urine, and those who are having renal erectile tenesmus. And on the examination, the patient will look ill. The patient will be having pallor, slightly raised blood pressure will be there, temperature will be there, and features of shock may be absent. And tenderness will be there, and muscle guard on the lower abdomen will be there, and sometimes you may feel a mass with irregular and tender in nature. And if you are observing on the over the vagina, the vaginal mucosa will be pale, uterus may be normal in size or bulky, and ill-defined bogey tender mass may be felt in one of the fornixes of the uterus. The unruptured ectopic pregnancy can be diagnosed by laparoscopy or by laparotomy. In the clinical features, delayed in the clinical examination, you can see the delayed period, spotting with the discomfort in the lower abdomen, and per-abdominally, if you are palpating, you can feel the tenderness in the lower abdomen. And per vaginal examination, sometimes you may feel the uterus as normal, and sometimes small tender mass may be felt in the fornices. And the investigation, if you can perform the transvaginal scanning, and you can do the radioimmunoassay for detecting the beta HCG, and you can perform the laparoscopy also. The laparoscopic picture of the tubal pregnancy shows over here. Patient with acute ectopic pregnancy can be diagnosed clinically. Blood should be drawn for assessing the hemoglobin, complete blood count, blood grouping should be done, cross matching should be done, serology and coagulation profile also should be done, and the lady should be catheterized for observing the urinary output, and bedside test, urine pregnancy test you can perform, and it will be positive in 95% of the cases, and ELISA is sensitive to 10 to 50 ml of international units of millimole of beta HCG, and can be detected on the 24th day after the LMP. And you can perform the Coulter synthesis. This will reveal 70 to 90% of the ectopic pregnancies. And you can perform the ultrasonography. You can perform the transvaginal sonography. It is more sensitive and it detects the intrauterine gestational sac at 4 to 5 weeks. That is, even if the HCG is low as 1500 international units also, in that case, by the transvaginal ultrasonography, you can detect the presence of the gestational sac. And you can perform the color Doppler sonography. So this will improve the accuracy and it will identify the placental shape, that is the ring of fire pattern can be identified, and blood flow outside the uterine cavity also can be identified by the color Doppler sonography. Otherwise, you can go for the transabdominal sonography. This can identify the gestational sac between 5 to 6 weeks, and if the HCG level is 1800 international units per liter, in that case also you can see the gestational sac by the transabdominal sonography. And the ultrasonic pictures include Bagel sign, that is hypercoic ring around the gestational sac in adnexal region you can see, or you can see the blob sign, that is seen in a small incoagulomatoid mass next to ovary with no evidence of sac or embryo, or a adnexal sac with fetal pole and cardiac activity is more specific. These things you can observe in the ultrasonography. And another method for diagnosing the ectopic pregnancy is assessing or finding the beta HCG levels. And if you're doing a single test, it's not having much importance. For assessing or for confirming, you have to do the continuous or serial test, 2-3 test you have to perform. And next thing is serum progesterone. The serum progesterone level will be more than 25 nanogram per ml in the case of intrauterine pregnancy, and it will be less than 15 nanogram per ml in the case of ectopic pregnancy, and it will be less than 5 nanogram per ml in the case of non-viable ectopic pregnancy. And for the diagnostic confirmation, you can perform the diagnostic laparoscopy also, and it can be done only when the patient is hemodynamically stable and it confirms the diagnosis, and same time you can remove the ectopic mass also. And the differential diagnosis of ectopic pregnancy include, sometimes it may be a ruptured corpus luteum of pregnancy, or ruptured chocolate cyst, twisted ovarian cyst, torsion or degeneration of the pedunculated fibroid, incomplete abortion, acute appendicitis, perforated peptic ulcer, renal colic, or splenic rupture. Or it may be a pelvic abscess, or it may be a subserous uterine fibroid, or it may be a sign of salpingitis, or it may be a retroverted gravid uterus, or it may be an appendicular lump. And the management include expectant management, medical management, and surgical management. The medical management include local and systemic. Systemic management, you can start the methotrexate. In the local management, you can perform the ultrasonography or laparoscopic sulfangio-synthesis, and then you can give the methotrexate, potassium chloride, prostaglandin, hyperosmolar glucose, actinomyosin D, and mifeprostone. And in the surgical management, either you can go for the conservative or you can go for the radical salpingectomy, removal of the fallopian tube. And in the conservative, you can perform either salpingostomy or salpingotomy, or you can go for the segmental salpingectomy. That is, you will not go for the complete removal of the fallopian tube. In the case of radical salpingectomy, you are doing the removal of the fallopian tube. Here, you are making an opening in the fallopian tube, and the products you can remove through that way. And in the case of salpingotomy also, you are making an opening and you are removing the product to that way. And in the case of segmental salpingectomy, you can perform or you can remove only a segment or a part of the fallopian tube where the fetus is implanted. And another one is resuscitation. Actually, if the ectopic pregnancy has ruptured, you should go for the anti-shock treatment. you should start the IV line. Blood should be taken for the HP, grouping, cross-matching, VT, bleeding time and clotting time, and catheterization should be done, and urinary output should be monitored, and you should start the colloids for the fluid replacement, and in severe cases you should perform the laparotomy. The principle is quick in and quick out. That is, rapid exploration of the abdominal cavity is done, and salpingectomy is the definitive surgery. Blood transfusion should be given, and auto transfusion only when donated blood is not available. You can go for the auto transfusion. That is, in order to save the life of the mother, you can go for the laparotomy in the case of ruptured tubal pregnancies. And the other management, you can go for the laparoscopy. Laparoscopy is the preferred method. So this we can do in the case of hemodynamically stable patients. And actually, in this case, if you are doing the laparoscopy, the hospitalization time is minimal, and you can do the minimum operative inferences also. And another method is salpingostomy. In this case, 15 to 20 millimeter of the tube we are opening, and we are removing the product of conception from that. So far we have seen the diagnosis of ectopic pregnancy, management of ectopic pregnancy, and clinical features of ectopic pregnancy. Thank you for watching this video. See you soon with a new video. Bye.